Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. One of the things that I noticed last year, and in the month of May, that's my time to go out and wade for northern pike. And of course, you're going to catch a lot of bass at that time. It'd be great if you're in a spot where you can catch walleyes. But for me, that is my time when I can really enjoy a species of fish that I think a lot of you take for granted, that you don't look at with the same sort of adoration that I do, but I love it. And each year I come up with a bait that works the best for me. I don't know what that means, because I guess it means that there's probably a lot of baits that really work. But the bait that I used last year, and I caught more fish, more northern pike than anybody I went fishing with. It's not that I'm a better fisherman. It's that I had this bait down to using it that seemed to drive those northerns crazy. And it's a storm bluegill. They're sold in packs of 3. I use a 3-inch size. But here's what makes that bait so interesting to me. Number one, all fish like to feed on little bluegills. They claim that it's the number one diet for largemouth bass. But this bluegill has a paddle tail. And if you're listening and you don't fish a lot and you don't know what I mean, the tail is actually shaped like a paddle. So when it goes through the water, the paddle almost motivates the lure itself. It starts kicking and it causes the lure to wobble and do certain things that I think make it more effective, more appealing to the fish. But this storm minnow in particular, and it's already rigged. It has its weighted jig head is in the body. It has a hook that comes out the top of the bait over its back, and then it has a little treble that connects in the bottom. So you're going to hook the fish. But here's what happens, and it happened over and over again. I would reel it in, all of a sudden noticing that it wasn't paddling right, it wasn't swimming right, and I'd look, and the paddle tail was gone. And I hadn't even felt a strike, and it happened over and over again. And what it tells me is those northern pike must come up and sort of investigate, and they maybe come up and open their mouth and close their teeth on that tail in a fraction of a second and bite it off, and that's what happens. It's bitten off, and once it's bitten off, that lure it's trash. You can't put another tail on it. It's soft plastic, soft like living rubber plastic, that there's no reparation, there's no repairing that baby. So there's so much, though, that came from that. Number one, the lure works incredible. Number two, the paddle tail works like it does because just before the tail is formed, the body gets very narrow. So it doesn't have a lot of resistance to flipping back and forth, and it makes that lure, the paddle tail, work even more effectively. But its weakness is that it's so thin back there that they can easily bite it off. But what it also tells me is they can do this without me even feeling them. And I've got braided line. I've got a really, sensitive graphite rod. I've got all the essentials to feel every little thing happening. But boy, I don't. So what am I telling you? If you can get those storm minnows and you want to catch northern pike, I think it's a good one. And if you use it like I do, I hop it up and down. I hop it almost like a jig. I know a lot of people just like to reel a bait in, and both methods work good, but I'm hopping it. And boy, somehow that hopping through the water seems to drive those fish mad. But you better have a lot of them, because they're going to be nipping and tasting that tail. And once they do that, it's over. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.